Hello all you Japanese organized crime members. I'm King Link and today we're taking a last look and review of Yakuza 0. Now, if you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing. I'm on my way to 100 subscribers on YouTube and I appreciate your help with that in any way possible. Spoiler warning, I'm going to be talking a bit about this game. I will be giving very minor spoilers about if two characters meet just because it's important. However, I will not talk about the main story after the first couple chapters for each character or more than a single side quest that I really like and I have to talk about just because it tells you what type of game this is. I go into a lot of this at a much deeper level in my written review, but this is a brief overview. Or knowing me, not so brief, but I'm going to rush through this, try to make this as short as possible. So, here we go. I'm showing the opening of Goro Majima's story in this video. This is right after Majima's introduction, which happens in a glorious cutscene, and I'm going to be playing through the story, and you can see how this game looks. If you're unsure of the full system, check out the first look, which has the opening, and you can see how major cutscenes are done. They're glorious. I mean, outstandingly beautiful. You can even see it here. There's 4 different cutscenes, and not all look like this, but the graphics are great in this game in my opinion. Overall though, the game ranges from unbelievably good looking to above average. And I like the in-game look and the characters, but at the same time I also have to put them up against the really polished cutscenes that we're seeing now, and they look a bit weak. Now, the story here is actually good as well. You have 2 main characters, Kiryu Kazuma and Goro Majima. Let me just say this, these are not people you want to mess with. They're both complete badasses and they are great doing it. Kiryu starts off as a Yakuza, and here's one problem I have with the story early on. Kiryu leaves the Yakuza family, and for a game called Yakuza and a character who is a Yakuza, why leave so quickly? It seems that Sega is comfortable to show them Yakuzas and name the game after Yakuzas, but has to distance the main character from being a Yakuza. However, the story here is compelling. There's a lot of moving parts to the story, but I absolutely love the experience. Kiryu gets caught up in this main story when someone he's shaking down at the beginning of the game is killed very early. It turns out it happens in a place called the Empty Lot, and the meaning of that and what it is about is at the heart of the game. I'm not going to say more. It's worth checking out. Goro, on the other hand, is an excommunicated Yakuza, let's say, who's been taken off the books. He's trying to get back into his Yakuza family, and he's told the only way is by killing Makoto Makamura for his old family. Now, who that is, it's unknown at the beginning of the game. Why they want that person killed, it's a mystery, and that also lasts most of the game. So, I'm not going further into the story here because it's just so well delivered. You need to play this game to experience it, and it's just well done in almost every way. However, the story isn't perfect. There's 2 major issues I feel like I have to bring up. First, the 2-story system doesn't feel like it works exactly as intended. Here's the spoiler that I don't really want to say, but neither of the main characters meets the other one in the main game. And in fact, you get almost 2 completely different stories. Now, the game gives you a reason for the 2 stories to be in the same game, but it feels like it's something that the writer came up with just so that they could talk about their 2 favorite characters. Honestly, these are 2 amazing characters, but there's no reason for these 2 stories to really be told at the same time. It totally could have been done as 2 different modes or something like that, but that's not how they did it. It's just a little bit of a shame because you expect these 2 guys to team up. They don't. And again, I love this story. It's great, but splitting it up between the 2 characters doesn't feel as necessary. In addition, these are major characters for the series. They've both been in most of the games in the series, and this is a prequel. Yeah, the game threatens them, but there's no chance of them actually dying. No, this is the same with many of the characters in the game. If you know the series, they are in a few of them, so it's a shame. Now, there's one other issue I have to go into, and I hesitate to talk about it because it's a minefield, but let's do it, whatever. Sexism. Send your comments about me being an SJW, a neckbeard, a MAGA, a Trump supporter, a feminist, whatever. Go for it. But listen, I have to talk about it. Now, you see, this game is based on Japan in the 1980s. It's not the best time for women, of course, and I accept that. but I also see women as sex workers and cat fights for the players' enjoyments, the telephone clubs, and everything else. And yeah, it's pervy, but that's off the main story arc. And here's the thing, I'm going to be accepting of that. Not every game has to be completely clean. I don't bitch about strip clubs in GTA or any other game, and that's not why I'm bringing it up here. However, there's no real strong female characters here, and the fact is there's a lot of room for a strong female character. You have a secretary and a woman who, and a number of women who work with you as part of the game, but they're all mini-game fodder, and they're not exactly in the best situations. Women here are people to be flirted with, trophies to win, objects to move the story forward, and it's a shame because it gets a bit bad here and there. But there are also funny and well-done moments, and it's not all the worst. It's just, if you can get triggered, this probably will set you off. It's not the best representation of women, and I wish they could have done a little bit better with it. Alright, moving on quickly. We're going to talk about gameplay. So, Yakuza 0 is a true open world game. You can pretty much go anywhere and do anything at almost any part of the story where you're not completely locked in. The core of this game, though, is a brawler/fighter. Much of the game brings you to a fighting system where you're thrown into a little arena or area in the world, and it's depending on where you get attacked or ran into enemies, and you end up having to beat the crap out of them. The fighting here is actually fun, and the best part of it is when you use strong moves that knock down enemies, you actually see money flying out of them. It's funny, it works, and I love it. Thanks, Sega. That's great. There's a lot more to it, though, and you'll learn it over the course of the game. And you can also unlock even more stuff as you go on, but there's also blocking, combos, special move system called Heat, and everything here is well done. There's also a new feature in the franchise that's each of the main characters gets 3 move sets. They vary quite a bit, so you actually end up getting 6 different move sets. Goro has 3, and Kiryu has 3, and they're all pretty good. My favorite is Goro has a breaker style that's all based on breakdancing moves. It's hilarious, it's fun, it's great. And there's different styles for how many people are around you or what objects are available, and it works really well with the system. Now, the only issue I have with the combat is by the end of the game, a lot of it was really done too fast. Kiryu and Goro become so powerful, they become like gods of the street, and their fights can take less than a few seconds for most of the fodder, and it takes longer to get into the bout and out of it at times. However, the flip side of that is the boss fights here are great. Every one of them feels unique in some way. You get different characters, different styles. I don't have any in this video, so don't assume anything here is a true boss fight, but they're all really well done, and you end up having to switch styles over the course of the fight just to make it easier. I got excited every time that boss fight showed up because I wanted to fight the best, and there they were. So, with it being an open world game, what does that actually mean? Well, there's a lot here. The map, as I said in my first look, is relatively small, but holy crap, they throw a ton of stuff into this game. There's 100 side stories, which are little vignettes where the player usually goes to a few locations, sees a couple different scenes play out. Usually someone will fight them, and that's it. The thing is, all of these side stories are worth doing. I don't remember many where I thought it was pointless, and usually any that I really was not thrilled with had a purpose for the side business later. However, many of these side stories are outlandish, over the top, and just wonderful. I'll give my personal favorite. It's one that a lot of people have talked about, but I have to as well. There's a scene where you see a dominatrix as you're walking down the street. She's in a BDSM outfit, and she's just being too nice, and the customer is getting really annoyed. He's ready to dump her. So you decide to help out. You end up practicing with her. Where? Well, you go to a park. Why? It's Yakuza. That's really the answer for a lot of this game. So it's odd, right? Well, as you're teaching her, some kids actually end up coming along as she's trying it out, and they ask questions. So not only do you have a dominatrix putting you in your place, but kids are making the craziest comments about what they see. And I won't spoil anymore, but Jesus, this game has so many completely out there moments, and it's worth it. It's wonderful. What's actually great about this is you have a true badass character. Goro and Kiryu take no crap from anyone in this game. But on the side missions, they're put in the worst situations. Imagine a true, guy who is hardcore, having to do that type of thing. That's what the game presents, and they do it perfectly. Kiryu and Goro never look like they're relaxed, but they're all doing all sorts of funny and silly moments, and it works 100% of the time. I laugh like for when I see them racing pocket cars, answering phones, trying to solve a crossword puzzle. It's all great. So I mentioned side businesses. Yeah, Kiryu and Goro get jobs here. Well, more jobs, technically. Goro runs a cabaret, but then he starts running a cabaret club, which is different in some way. It seems like the same, but whatever. I'm sure there's cultural importance to what they're doing that I'm not completely up on. Kiryu, on the other hand, is a real estate mogul, and he ends up buying up parts of the city and gets massive sums of cash. So the thing is, both of these side businesses are where the real money is, and you're going to want it for upgrading abilities, buying stuff, and so on. So yeah, you can get a million yen in 10 fights or so. But I was hitting $1 billion in Kiryu's business at the end of the game just for waiting a couple minutes and then just cashing out. And Goro, for instance, made at least 10 million quickly in his club. They're great money makers, but they're just bits of time sink. Honestly, I like Kiryu's version, the real estate thing, more. I played that a lot. Goro, I'll be honest, it's not as good, but I did play a bunch of it, and it's worth checking out, at least as a small diversion. So, is that it? That's all the game is? Well, there's also minigames. A lot of minigames. There's actually playing old Sega games like Outrun, Space Harrier. There's 3 more at least, and that show up. It's pretty good. But that's not even a tenth of the game. There's also shogi, which is the Asian version of chess. There's batting cages, there's mahjong, there's pool, there's darts, there's tons of gambling, there's telephone clubs, the cat fighting I mentioned before, underground fighting rings, bowling. There's amazing karaoke scenes that are hilarious to watch just because of the video. I mean, there's so much to do in this game. There's tons. So even if you don't like some of it, which, like, personally, I don't like mahjong that much. I didn't understand it. Or the pool. There's a ton of other options that you have here that you will likely enjoy some of them or a majority of them. And one last thing, completionists, watch out. There's at least 130-ish hours of stuff to do, and you'll be working on completing this game for a long time. There's an in-game achievement system which actually gives you CP points, completion points, which will use to unlock additional stuff, but you'll have to complete all 374 tasks in the game to get one specific achievement. Those tasks are split up, but just as an example, there's 84 minigame completion tasks, 99 for the business, and so on. And yeah, there's a lot, so beware. But it's worth doing. And that's the real big pieces of this game. Now, I always talk about the negatives, and I really wish I didn't have to here, because I love Yakuza, but Yakuza has some really bad ones, and I'm never going to shy away from them. I did mention the story, and I'm not okay with the way the two stories are so different and so divergent. And they only dovetail at the end when it feels like someone forced them together. There's also no autosave here, and honestly, that really sucks. Even when changing chapters, at least previously, there was no reminder to save. I did see one when I was recording this one, so I don't know if they added it in or if there was a specific one that is there. But if you forget and turn off your game, you lose all your progress. That sucks. That wouldn't be so bad, except there's crash bugs. Yeah. So some of those crash bugs have been fixed, but I've had the game crash enough on me that I had to make up about 10 to 15 hours of content, and that really bites. That, to me, there's a lot of other stuff, but this is the one that really hurts the score. In addition, when my computer goes to sleep as well, the game crashes due to it losing the D3D device. That's an annoying bug, but again, the lack of the autosave makes it so much worse. There's also very long cutscenes at the end of the game. I think the finale of the game, from the last chance you have to save to the end of the game, might be in the 2-hour range. And yeah, having to play that in one sitting can be frustrating. Again, if it wasn't for the sleep bug, I probably wouldn't have so much problems with it, but it's a shame that there's not more options. Maybe they're fixing it, maybe they've added some. Like I said, I did see a prompt to save that wasn't there in the original game. Who knows? And finally, I switched games for a while. I went and played some other games because I had to. And when I came back, there was actually a bad audio clipping bug that I noticed. I don't think it happened during the recording, but it kind of sucked, and I have to call that out. It was a bad sign. I think I solved most of it, but I still heard some of it. It's in a specific scene when you're doing Goro's business running. Alright, so with that said, the thing is, I really want to love this game, and I do. The fact is, I think everyone should check it out. This is Yakuza 0. It's an amazing game, and the Yakuza series is an awesome series. This is actually one of the best ways to get started because it's the prequel, but it actually brings you up to speed on all the characters. I honestly can't wait for the next game in the series, Yakuza Kiwami, a remake of the original game. Sega, please bring it out soon. But I do have to give this game an honest score. And like I said, I like this game a lot. I'm sure you've heard it. I'm calling this game wonderful because I really love it. But there is some flaws, and I think there's enough flaws that it's not perfect. It's far enough away that I can't give it a perfect score. So for me, I have to give this game a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, that's a really solid score. It's a really solid game and worth checking out. There are a few bugs, and Sega, keep fixing them. Come on, guys. You can make this an amazing game. But this is a series that needs to be checked out by more people. It's worth it, and at $20, no excuses. You're going to get more than an hour per dollar that you spend, if not many more. Just for that, it's worth checking out. Alright, so that is Yakuza. It's a damn good game. I really liked it. So I'm going to swear the next game is what I promised last time, Abduction, the new game from from Cyan, the guys who made Myst. I just forgot that I had beat this game before I started playing that one, so that's my bad. Until then, I'm King Link, I'm out of here, and I'll see you next time.